After the Roswell Army airfield incident, the spotting of UFOs re-emerged in 1970s. People saw alien aircrafts flying over the New Mexico desert, and people saw rumors that the aircraft was hit by a lightning bolt and it crashed, and the aliens inside it died. They even claimed that the US Army took the alien Air Force and the UFO and kept it at a top secret base in the Nevada known as Area 51. But it was hardly in 1994 when we got to know that the alien spaceship was actually nothing but the most top secret aeroplane of the US Air Force, the SR-71 aka the Blackbird.
The Cold War locked the Soviet Union and the USA into a tense struggle for global influence and resources. Both had to put immense resources into their military technologies, but getting to know the opponent's next move was the upper hand. Very little was known about the Soviet Union in the 1950s. The Soviets already tested their first atomic bomb in 1949, and the USA needed to know what was going on. Spy planes were the only option because satellites were not there then. But an extensive network of radar stations, surface-to-air missiles kept the Americans away.
In 1954, US President Dwight D. Eisenhower demanded a secret location for which they could start the HARP, High Altitude Reconnaissance Program. Area 51, a vast dry lake bed in the middle of the Nevada desert, was chosen and aircrafts were started to be built. In 1953, President Eisenhower launched a covert CIA program called Project Aquatone. An aeroplane was built on a budget of $22 million that could fly for 4,800 kilometers without refueling, could carry 320 kg of camera and fly at an altitude of 70,000 feet, and it was the Lockheed U-2. Until 1956, the U-2 spy planes began flying over the Soviet Union, and they were neither fast nor stealthy. They had one big advantage, that at 70,000 feet they could fly over any Soviet air defense, and Eisenhower was assured of that.
But turned out everything they knew was wrong. The Soviets tracked the U-2 from day one, and it was only a matter of time. They were able to shoot down one, so simply flying high was not enough.
But anyway, even before the development of the U-2, there were plans to replace it. This is because the true impunity over the Soviet can be achieved by incredible speed, altitude, and stealth. The US Air Force explored many radical concepts, such as the ramjet-powered aircraft that can be deployed from the bottom of the supersonic B-58. This was the Convair fish and the Kingfish. But in 1959, Lockheed Martin was chosen by the CIA to develop a new generation of spy planes.
The U-2 meanwhile continued to fly over the Soviet, but sadly not for long, as in spring of 1960, a Soviet surface-to-air missile finally managed to take one down. The wreckage was paraded over as a proof of Western aggression. As tensions rose more, the need for a replacement of the U-2 was now more than ever. That was when the US had to admit they were spying. The government then put pressure on the Air Force to develop a plane that can't be shot down, and it could fly faster and be even more secretive. This was the birth of the SR-71 by Lockheed Martin.
What Lockheed then proceeded to make would be unlike any aircraft ever built. Nearly 60 years after its first flight, it remains the fastest jet to ever fly. The highly classified plane built by Lockheed would be known as the A-12. Originally built for reconnaissance by the CIA, the A-12 was also developed into an interceptor prototype known as YF-12, armed with air-to-air missiles along with a variant of two planes that could launch an unmanned reconnaissance drone known as the M21 for CIA. But it was the SR-71 that Lockheed developed that would go on to serve the Air Force for decades, and the earlier A-12 and its variants were then retired.
So, how to keep this plane's testing secret from the rest of the world? The CIA was brilliant and used to promote the conspiracy theory of UFOs. Neither they used to claim nor did they deny them. They proved to be effective to let people believe that these are alien flying saucers, but in reality, they are the top secret military aircrafts of the USAF. And as we know, during the 1970s, the spotting of UFOs re emerged, and it was actually the 1970s when the Blackbird used to do its test flights.
The Blackbird would cruise at the speed of Mach 3.3, right near the edge of space at 85,000 feet, and even do it for hours. Lockheed engineers had to develop everything from scratch to achieve this. To sustain such incredible speeds, the SR-71 and its predecessors were powered by engines often known as the turbo ramjets. At below Mach 2, they function as conventional jet engines, but above Mach 3, they behave more like ramjets as an inlet core adjusted to bypass the air around the engine and directly into the afterburner. At Mach 3.2, the exterior of the SR-71 would heat up to beyond 260 degrees Celsius, easily hot enough to soften aluminium air core. So, Lockheed engineers used titanium for 92% of the aircraft, and in the 1960s, this led to inventing entirely new fabrication technologies. The shape did more than spook the UFO enthusiasts, and it helped reduce radar signatures, and so did its special black paint, which earned the SR-71 its nickname, the Blackbird.
The A-12 and SR-71 were first deployed over North Korea and then Vietnam, where they were unsuccessfully targeted by over 800 surface-to-air missiles. But these ones never intercepted the Soviet airspace, at least officially, because another shoot-down over the Soviet Union would be catastrophic. So the SR-71 flew near its borders using the power side-facing radars and cameras to peer miles into the Soviet territory, and that frustrated the Soviets.
In 1976, Viktor Balanko defeated to the West by escaping the Soviet Union in his MiG-25, the very jet that terrified the West. He described the frustration of trying to intercept blackbirds, though the MiGs were Mach 3 capable, but only for a few minutes at a time, not for long hours like the Blackbird. Nor could they travel to the SR-71's incredible altitude. Even their enormous R-40 missiles lacked the guidance to strike the SR-71 head-on. For years, the SR-71 was practically invulnerable. They could fly and outclimb any threat.
But by the 1980s, the MiG-31s were roaming the skies, equipped with sophisticated radar and very long-range R-33 missiles. They posed a legitimate threat to the SR-71, as did the new range of surface-to-air missiles. But the greatest threat to the SR-71 was actually not the missiles or jets, but itself. No Blackbird was ever lost on a mission, but more than a third of the 50 aircrafts were destroyed in accidents. They were enormously expensive to operate, with each one siphoned about $300 million a year out of the US's defense budget. A fleet of special aerial refuelers and a small army of maintenance and support staff were needed just to keep the planes mission ready. Then advances in spy satellites, aerial drones, and the SS-71's inability to catch real-time surveillance data reduced some of the plane's utility. Then the politics and the infighting about the defense budget, and by the late 1980s, the days of the SS-71 were sadly numbered. They were officially retired in 1998, and the two were sent for NASA for testing. The technology behind the A-12 and the SS-71 is now over 50 years old, but still, these show us the future of the wonders of aviation that is yet to come. One of them could be the reference to its successor, which had a brief cameo in the movie Top Gun Maverick, the SR-72, aka the Dark Star.